well.
Let's get to this ceasefire deal signed in Syria regarding the Syrian civil war. Every one of these international deals has winners and losers. In your view, who wins here?
Well, manifestly, Russia is the winner here. Look, this is the destruction of United States foreign policy broadly across the world, not just in the Middle East. It began, obviously, with the Syria Red Line collapse, which was a credibility deficit. The Obama administration tried to renew its hand with allies in the Middle East, the Sunni monarchies, but also the Europeans to a degree, by saying, look, Assad will go, we're going to pressure here, we're going to support the rebels. And the Saudis, the UAE, actually backed off for a bit in terms of not threatening to give money, as they will now, to groups like Al-Qaeda to counterbalance against what they see as the rise of Iran and Russia and Assad. But look, there's no question that this is a great victory for the Russians. Assad is now in power, and the deal of the ceasefire is on its face absurd, because the Russians are saying, well, we will continue to fight Jabhat al-Nusra, which is the Al-Qaeda syndicate. Great. But the reason that that's a problem is that up until now, Russia has been saying every day, all we're doing is bombing Jabhat al-Nusra and ISIS, but they include all the Free Syrian Army, more moderate elements, inside that orbit of Jabhat al-Nusra. So it essentially means here what's going to happen is that the Russians, with Assad, will seize control of the western areas of Syria, purge the Sunni populations from those areas, who will then go and join ISIS, and the moderate elements at the heart of why you would want to find a political compromise in the Middle East will be eviscerated, both in terms of their political credibility, to be able to say to Syrians, look, support us, we can find a better future, but also in terms of their credibility on the international stage, and indeed in Syria, in terms of having a force to deal with Assad. It is an absolute collapse of US foreign policy, and it will be felt not only in the Middle East, but also in the coming days, and judge me on this, by nations like China in terms of the Pacific Island campaign. It is a major problem.
Well, and Assad is an ally, maybe a puppet of the Iranians. The Iranians, no friends of the Saudis. So what do the Saudis do as a result of this so-called peace deal?
That is the big cruncher here, and what I think happens is that the Saudis now have no concern for the United States in terms of our ability to influence them in positive ways. So what they will do is retrench into politicized sectarianism, which is to say that they are likely to fund hardline groups on the periphery, but also covertly, probably with Al-Qaeda. You see now in Yemen, for example, the UAE working with Al-Qaeda against the Iranian-supported elements. And because of the Iran nuclear deal, because of what they see as the collapse of U.S. credibility in terms of providing that long-term role of regional balance of power, the Saudis and the Sunni monarchies will retrench onto that more hardline Sunni side. So essentially, the big problem, John, is that you see political moderation in the Middle East, from Baghdad to Beirut to Syria, collapsing it, and in its place, the two sides, the Iranian hardliners, and then on the other side, the Sunni hardliners, ISIS. And that spills, and you see that, of course, relevant to the West, refugee flows, ISIS plots against the West, and the continuing destabilization of Middle Eastern politics.
And very quickly, this is a peace deal that you think fundamentally is going to strengthen Al-Qaeda?
I do, because, look, I mean, it's going to leave Assad in power, and he's going to go and blitz and starve and barrel bomb, with the support of the Russians, Sunni impoverished populations. And the Sunni moderate resistance will be desecrated by this, because that's what the Russians are going to do, and the administration knows it. And so where are a lot of those young Sunni men going to go? They're going to go to Al-Qaeda. They're going to go to ISIS. And again, there's that Saudi element in terms of fundraising. So history will not record this administration's foreign policy towards Syria in a very positive light, to say the least.
We all remember when the president said Assad had to go. Tom Rogan from the National Review and the Daily Telegraph. Tom, thank you.
Thank you, John.